Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And I heard you just finished watching Justice League Aquaman.
Yeah.
The animated cartoon movie of all, sorts of badassness. It's where whenever those movies come out, I always tell people, I'm like, dude, did you see the fucking new Aquaman movie? Or did you see the new Flash movie? And the first thing they always go to is like, there's a live action one that just came out? It's like, no, why do they want it to be live action? Why can't animation be like a thing, man? Like, it's always got to be live action.
Well, when I went to go buy it, I mean, I know it's not, but I went to go buy it. It was like directly in the kids section. It's like when I went to go buy Assault on Arkham, which is basically the Suicide Squad movie. Like they always have that right next to like My Little Pony, whatever the fuck, and it's just like, yeah, King Shark's head blows up, Killer Frost blows up, and a lot of people blow up in that movie.
HP Beast blows up right in the beginning.
Yeah, so I'm like, I mean, I know it's
Batman actually literally leads a guy to his death in that one,
and he blows up. Yeah, that guy's a lot of people fucking blow up in that movie. There it is, right next to like fucking like Disney, whatever the fuck, But
yeah, like Disney princesses and fucking like. Willy Wonka and so on. It's just like, that's not really where it's supposed to go. I literally just want to go. The worst offenders of it more than anything is like Target. I don't know what it is. Whenever I see a Target, I just want to go in there and reorganize it. I will give the benefit of the doubt to Walmart. At least they will eventually put it in the kids section, but at least at first when the movies come out, they're in like the regular people's section.
You just walk in there like, are you doing this for a job? Do you want to get hired? Like, no, I'm doing this for society. It's better this way. Here, my own free will.
They're like, well, where'd you get that Target vest? Well, I beat up the guy in like the bathroom. So, yeah, he was cleaning it. Not anymore.
It's for a greater cause. And then, to call back to that movie, that guy's head ends up exploding or something like that. Just like Black Spider. No. But one thing I will say regarding that movie, though, it's actually even the company, the distributor, because you watch this one. This one's not as probably dark or as violent as some of the other DCU movies, but I will say that it's still strong enough to be PG-13, and there are even like a few moments like, oh wow, I'm surprised I got away with that. There's a part where like one guy literally gets chopped to a bunch of pieces at once. I think when I already forgot her name, but Aquaman's girlfriend, Myra, whatever her name is, like kill. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And they're just a handful of quick scenes like that I'm just surprised these movies still walk away with PG-13, which is totally fine, whatever, But
and then we get more like they say.
But the thing is,
shit like a couple times in that one too.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
but that's not the first one to say it. I want to say
it was Justice League War. I want to say that was the first time I noticed it. But no, but like another thing though, I want to say is, even though the people making this movie, they know who they're aiming for. I think Warner Brothers distributor themselves, I don't think they are entirely aware, because if you look at the ads, the very beginning of this like Blu-ray or DVD, whatever you got, it is just chocked full of stuff that like full grown like adult DC fan would really want to get. All right, I know there's the one you want to talk about.
The weirdest one
this is the one I know you want to talk about, so I'll just give this to you right here.
I threw the DVD on. And I was like, I ran and I was like in the restroom and I could just kind of hear it on. I was like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, WWE. I'm like, and I run outside. I'm like, that sounds like fucking Barney and Fred Flintstone. And I run out, I'm like, it's a WWE Flintstones movie? Like, that's a weird like, okay, I watched the Scooby-Doo one, and the Scooby-Doo one makes kind of sense. I mean, that movie does kind of like do the thing like, hey kids, WWE, that's the coolest wrestling thing ever. That's right! They do one of those kind of things where they really kind of almost like push the WWE like a little. It's like, okay guys, you can back up. You got the fucking ownership of this like movie. You don't need to like cram it down our throats. I love my wrestling and all, but you don't need to shove that down. I mean, I literally watched it because I like Scooby-Doo and I like wrestling, and I wanted to see that combined together. The Flintstone one seems just, I don't know. Like, well, literally, is this the first Flintstones cartoon movie in like over 30 years, and this is what they choose?
Last one I can remember is like, I don't know.
The live-action one?
Well, that, and then like the bad live-action prequel, and then before that, I want to say...
Pebbles and like Bam Bam, like
get married, like in late 80s, early 90s, something like that. So
yeah.
Beyond that, I don't really remember it. I don't know. Maybe like because I know Warner Brothers owns Hanna-Barbera, so maybe that licensing's about to go out. Like, if we don't do something with this Flintstones bullshit, it all goes back. It all goes to like post cereal, like
yeah, well, they go
fucking Fruity Pebbles or whatever. They got to do whatever the fuck they want with it. So it's
make a movie. WWE wants to make another one. They said that Scooby Doo one was a success, so yeah.
Which
you figure it out.
Which I really, when I got Cartoon Network as a kid, that's how I found out about the Flintstones, and that's for a long time I just thought they were serial characters. So I'm assuming that's what most kids this generation would assume. So. Yeah. It just seems so weird. Like, was anybody asking for a WWE Flintstones movie? But okay, whatever. It's happening. Someone's making money, I guess. Good for them.
I mean, sadly enough, I'll probably watch it eventually if it came on. And I was like, huh.
I'm not fucking watching it. I don't mean I'll say this. Like, I don't hate wrestlers or anything. I was never really into wrestling. Whenever I listen to a podcast and some wrestler like CM Punk or Chris Jericho comes in, like I'm not really interested in wrestling, but they're always very great guests because they always got some cool stories to say, and they're actually for being guys. I mean, I guess you'd have to have the know like enough about the human body and how to slam into something every a couple times a night, but they're actually very intelligent guys with a lot to say and pretty well spoken. So
that's professional actors.
I know that. I know. Well, I know, but I think because we know the stereotype is just kind of like, we all know the fucking wrestling stereotype. But I mean, whenever
like a boxing one where, the guys,
like Rocky Balboa or whatever, like Rocky Balboa 1 and 2, not like 3 where he suddenly gets a little smarter,
Well, with money, he becomes smarter.
Yeah,
that exactly happens. And he also becomes a lot more classier for some reason, too. It's just like he's in suits all the time.
And he buys a robot for Polly, yeah, so.
No, he bought the robot for his son. Polly just decided to fuck the robot. Polly was looking outside his door, and he gets a lasso out and rips the robot in there.
Oh, come on, Polly. Yeah, get over it, Rock. You can buy
Polly,
a new one.
I got that for my son now. You can't be fucking
it. Robot comes out all malfunctioning and shit, like.
I am covered in cum.
Erase my memory,
God
please.
Damn it,
Erase my memory.
I feel like it's one of those ones like he's like I really love Adrian, so I gotta kind of accept Polly here. I really fucking hate that guy.
I'm pretty sure Adrian doesn't even like Polly that much either.
Yeah, she has to put up with him too.
I'm surprised. The way how after Adrian, like it's not even Rocky. It's like Adrian. I want to say it's been a year since I've seen any of them, but I never saw the 5th one. But
the 5th one's good, despite what other people will tell you. I actually like that one.
Actually, no, I'm not thinking number 5. I actually never saw 5, and I never saw 6. That's what I meant to say.
6 one's really good. No matter what anybody tells you, it's really good.
But I'm just they're also working on Creed now, which is the not the Christian rock band, the
Creed.
I'm what old film. No. There was.
Hopefully, they're not making the biopic Creed film.
No, that would actually be very interesting. If you did kind of like a very funny, because that dude right now, they said on Paint It Black podcast, that dude is apparently like living in a hotel, in a Holiday Inn, and talking into a webcam and talking about how the world's out to get him.
I am in a fucking Holiday Inn talking into a goddamn webcam.
Maybe he's your stigmata twin to bring her back around to religion.
Maybe he's on the other side. He's like, shut your fucking podcast up. Jesus wants you to. He's like, oh, calm down, Creed. I don't even know what your first name is.
Mr. Creed.
Mr. Creed. Hopefully no relation to Sabretooth, but sure.
He's because he lost all his money. He apparently, I heard some time ago, almost a year ago, he tried to burn something down. He's kind of gone a little crazy. So biopic on him, if you maybe do it comically, kind of like Wolf of Wall Street or something like that, that could actually be kind of a cool movie.
Or even The Wrestler, maybe, just this guy in his shitty life.
Well, Wrestler, I felt bad for him.
Well, you feel bad for Wrestler, but this one might be funny if you just watch the Creed guy suffering.
Studio audience laugh track every time something bad happens to him.
Make it like in Natural Born Killers.
Yeah. Don't think because you're a fucking idiot. No, but but I was going back to what I was saying. I don't know how the fuck we got to that. Well, yeah, there's that.
T-shirt?
It is, yeah. It's
awesome.
Mm-hmm. No, but there was how we got to that. Oh yeah, well no, I was gonna say I don't really care enough to see a fucking Flintstones wrestling movie because I don't really give a shit about wrestling enough. But I'll say that whenever a wrestler comes on a podcast, they usually got a lot to say. They got some pretty interesting stories, but that's not enough to make me want to see him like go head to head with Barney. So
Barney and well, no, it looks like
Dino,
fucking Fred Flintstone is literally the guy who's like the manager. He's putting this whole thing together. It's not like he's wrestling.
He would, yeah. He's like trying to look like he's trying to like get Barney, you know, like Barney,
Hey,
I got a quick. He says, Barney, I got a quick scheme for you. Oh, what's up, Fred? You just got to get punched in the dick a bunch of times by CM Punk or whatever the fuck, you know. So.
Fred's almost like that guy's like, hey, Barney, I want you to work my glory hole and give me 50% profit. Fred, I don't know if that's a good idea. What if I get AIDS? Ah, Barney, who cares if you get AIDS?
You ain't nothing that Betty don't already have.
Bon, do you think she's really fucking you? I mean, look at her. Look at her, Bon. They made a saying after you. They call a Bonnie a guy who's ugly who's dating a guy named Betty who's hot. Yeah. Oh, whole fucking saying came out of that.
Everyone in Bedrock's fucked Betty by this point. You don't realize that? You're a fucking idiot. What, you think she's with you just because you're a personality?
But, Fred, I thought that was it.
You're fucking stupid, Barney. You're fucking stupid.
Don't work that goddamn glory hole. But I don't know. It's just one of those ones that still seems like such a like. I feel like of all the
stretch.
I almost feel a Johnny Quest fucking like WWE movie is a closer thing than a Flintstones one.
Well, we already had. I'm not sure if you know about this. There already was like a. I saw like 1 or 2 episodes of it. There was a Hulk Hogan like late '80s. Early 90s Saturday morning cartoon on USA.
Yeah, I remember that one. It was what was it called? I can't remember what it's called. But I remember
there's also Chuck Norris. There's also this isn't wrestling.
Chuck Norris and the Super Commandos or whatever.
In the Karate
Commandos.
Chuck Norris and the Karate Commandos, yeah.
I saw some of the Chuck Norris and the Karate Commandos like comic books at like the flea market a couple weeks ago.
Oh my god. And you didn't get them?
I almost got them. I didn't.
How expensive were they? Could have been more than like $2, right?
Yeah, they probably were. The guy probably would have gave it to me for 99 cents. I should have picked them up though. I don't know why I did. I looked at them. I was like, these are cool. But
he was probably people at that flea market. This flea market I think you're talking about, they get pretty desperate over there. So you could probably like, you know, I'll give you this half-eaten burrito I have in my hand for what you got all on that table right there. Done.
This guy's not the only one who has like the nicest setup at that flea market. It looks like you're kind of walking into a store. Kind of.
We said this once. There's one guy that I don't know how he got it, but he had a bunch of like Blockbuster DVDs he would just sell for incredibly cheap. Like the guy had an amazing deal, but he was creepy as fuck, and he would just say weird ass shit just out of nowhere. He always had this one friend in town. There's this one like it was the exact same Camaro from the Transformer films. The Bumblebee Camaro, and it even had like a little like a tiny little like kind of Autobot logo right by the door. So I guess it was the official movie version. And that was his friend always parked right next to him. He was in this beat up old like kind of like RV/van type of deal.
Was it like a Volkswagen one? I can't remember.
I don't know if it was Volkswagen. It was beige. It was definitely beige. And this guy he would just say something out of nowhere, and like. I think we said this once on the podcast some time ago, but there's one time he was all talking about like, I was just looking through the movies and he's like, yeah, I didn't like my grandpa he's like, my grandpa died a little bit ago. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. That really sucks. Nah, it's okay. He was a fucking cocksucker anyway. I'm like, oh, well, I guess you broke even. Yeah. One time for Christmas, he gave me and my sister a bag of glass and some Band-Aids and told us to share. I hit that prick in the side of the head with a fucking shovel. Oh, okay. How much for Hellboy 2?
You know, I haven't seen that guy in a long time.
You know what guy I'm talking about then, okay.
Oh yeah, I bought from this guy. I was buying and he was all like, oh, and this was back when this was probably a pretty good deal. I want to say it was something like, he was almost selling for like $2 a piece when this is at a time when like $2 for a DVD was like, what? Mm-hmm. But nowadays that's like, you know, for a used DVD, that's like the expected price. You almost sometimes go like, well, I don't know, if it was Blu-ray maybe, but at this time it was like $2. And I was going through the set and I pull out like, you know, I had this stack and then there was a Star Wars Episode 1 DVD in there because I only had it on VHS still. So I had that there and it was sealed. So I was like, dude, this is a fucking amazing deal, fucking $2 for, Star Wars Episode 1. And then he looks at my stack, he's all, oh, what's that, about 10 of them? Okay, $20. And then all of a sudden he goes like, whoa, 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 what's that there? What's that there? You trying to trick me there? You got one sealed? I'm like, no. I'm just like, oh. He's like, well, this one's $5. I'm like, well, fuck, I'll pay $5, whatever. That's still a pretty good deal. But he just got all like weird. It's like, well, then why the fuck was it in like the regular stack?
Yeah, like you try to pull a fast one on this guy.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't be hard to try and pull a fast guy on him. He one time said to me like, yeah, I got more, and this was an immediate like, okay. I mean, the sad thing is, this is when I was going through like just buying a bunch of DVDs. That, like, cause you and me would both go through like these phases where you just buy a fuck ton of DVDs. And this guy, like, this is one of those phases. And I still went back after he said this. One time, you think the grandpa thing would be enough to, oh, go the other way. But he's like, he has good deals, though. There was one time.
The good deals kept you going.
Then there was one time I went over there. He says, yeah, I got more in my garage. Like, oh, that's cool. He says, like, I give you my address. You can roll on by sometime and grab some. I'm like, no, I'm good. What you got here is fine. I'll take your advice. But I'll just take it from here, I'll take your advice.
$2 DVDs is great, but it's not worth
I don't need to go
sacrificing my life to be in like living in this guy's basement for the next 15 years. I'm not too sure.
No, I don't need to be like, like turned into like the human centipede or a human walrus or some shit like that. So,
Yeah, I'll just stick with where I'm in like the nice bright sun, open, everyone can see me.
Yeah. Witnesses,
Yeah, local flea market, people, it's a common like, sight here.
Sad thing is, one time after that, I still went back and bought a DVD from that guy. I'm like, God, I really hope my money isn't going to like, to like fucking whips and chains for some like poor like fucking Cuban child locked in his basement.
There was like, he's like, I just went to his house for the free DVDs, and now I've been down here for 15 years. Or no, he's like, I went to the house for the free VHSs, and now I'm down here for 15 years.
In 8 tracks.
In 8 tracks, yeah.
We should actually probably get back to like the Justice League movie though, and Aquaman.
But yeah, what do you think about that Aquaman movie? How about them Aquaman?
I liked it. I'd say probably it's not like my favorite of the DC Universe movies. It was pretty good though. It was definitely better than Justice League War. I thought Justice League War was one of the weaker ones. Like the action was really good in Justice League War, but that's all they really had going on. Everybody in this movie, like the only character that really like Green, even though they tried to make Green Lantern a little bit more like Tony Stark, he wasn't so bad in this one. The only character that was really bad was Shazam. Shazam was just like written horribly and just so fucking annoying throughout the whole thing. But
well, Shazam, he's the one character like if anybody's gonna say something stupid, at least Shazam's like, okay, he's a kid. Like, you know what I mean? Like when it's a grown adult who's like 35 fucking years old, you're like, okay, why is he saying a bunch of stupid shit? So they kind of fixed Green Lantern. As I said,
they can give him kid dialogue, but they could still make it more clever and more funny. You know what I mean? I started the Jeff Johns Shazam book a little bit ago, and in that he's not nearly as kind of like, there's a part like when I don't remember I just got done watching it, like Superman says something to defend Wonder Woman, and then he says, "Oh, I know why he's saying that." Then he just mimics kissing like action, and just like, really? Okay,
he should have been like this, like oh, like sucking a dick, like
just two of them, like oh,
it's just like when like Batman just looks at him and goes, "How fucking old are you?" He's like, "I'm 10, man. You know what? I got fucking pay-per-view and shit. Like I know what it's all about."
If he was more like that, if he was like just kind of
really like, if you got like a 10-year-old boy like in a man's suit, he's probably gonna be like, oh fuck, dude, I'm in a man's body now. I'm gonna like hit up the red light district right now.
Oh, totally.
And then right as he's about to like come, he's like, Shazam! And then he's just like a 10-year-old boy's on the screen. She's like,
the lady freaks out, beats the shit out of him. They just gotta get rid of this.
He's like, sorry.
No one wants to go to jail, so they have to like find a way to get rid of this like, boy.
Yeah, it's just like what happens. But really, you think about like
he's in a little lead building. There's a building that's lined with lead, so lightning can't come through or anything. So he's just kind of like, it's like, oh shit, this didn't go as planned.
Because that's really like the worst age for a kid probably to get those powers at.
You would go on such a power trip if you have. I mean, I guess you have to be. I guess the whole thing about Billy Baxton is he's like
the chosen one. He's not
chosen one, or
he's not like a jerk off Johnny chosen to be Shazam.
He's like a pure of heart kid. So I think that's the whole catch or whatever. But still, I mean, you think of your average 10-year-old that suddenly gets blessed with like, you know, like the
Adulthood.
powers, like like adulthood and like lightning hands and super strength. Just think, oh well, that's just a disaster waiting to happen. But I want to say Alan Moore. I don't really know. Alan Moore wrote like a parody version of him and made it incredibly dark, incredibly violent. But yeah.
Huh. But no, I thought this was probably like I call like the mid range of the DCU animated ones. Like it was really good, but not like extremely good. Like I say, a Flashpoint or a Dark Knight Returns or All Star Superman maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
But still, I still really enjoyed it, and I thought it was definitely a step up from Justice League War. And it looks like now they're gonna all these movies for the DCU, at least for a while, are gonna be interconnected.
Yeah, because you could tell this took place. I mean, just from I'm saying because the voice cast and the I mean they changed the voice cast a little bit, but like the art style definitely was. It's I think this takes place in the same world as Batman and Son or Son of Batman, well, as well as Batman versus Robin. That takes place in the same world too. So
yeah. So because did you see the Batman versus Robin thing on there?
That I actually watched that before the movie, and that looks really good to me because it looks like what they're trying to do is they're trying to do like. It looks like they're taking more from Court of Owls, but then just taking a little bit of like the Dick Grayson, Damian Wayne, like Batman and Robin stuff. Only it's Bruce Wayne instead of Dick Grayson, and they're just fusing those two together. So, and I think that could work right there because I'll be honest, I think they kind of used up all the major like all the big major stories that I mean, maybe the only
I think there's quite a bit more left that you could go pull out from like the last 30 years.
I think there's always something you can pull out, but as far as the big iconic ones, I mean, I don't really think we're going to get the Killing Joke. Maybe elements of the Killing Joke.
Well, I can see the Killing Joke in a while because it's not really like that much more violent than any of the other. It's not even really that violent compared. You know, it's got violence in it, but it's not like it's something we can't see in one of these PG-13 movies. You know what I mean? Because it's still not even like. I mean, it's just the same as, you know, Dark Knight Returns or even Long Halloween. You know, it's not. I mean, maybe we don't have to see Jim Gordon naked for a while. I don't know. That's December. Why?
I'm fine without seeing that. I just think it's more of like more than violence and like sexuality. I think it's more than anything. It's more of just like a grim, dark story. Just how dark it is and how fucked up it is and the themes it has. I think that's probably maybe the thing, but we'll see what happens.
But then there's also Long Halloween.
Everything else, yeah, but everything else, they got Long Halloween, but I think Long Halloween, it's no pun intended. I think it's too long for them to probably jam that in there. I could see them possibly doing. I mean, the big ones I think they got left. They're off the top of my head. Are Long Halloween. The Green Arrow, Green Lantern, like traveling America story. I mean, there's other stuff you can do. I mean, there are other ones you can do, but as far as like the big iconic ones, I think they got Kingdom Come, and then maybe possibly Nightfall or something. And then I think we're kind of out of the. And I don't even think Nightfall is amazing. I just think it's like one of the bigger ones. So I think once you get rid of once you go down like maybe 5 or 6 more, that's all like the big iconic stories out of the way, and then from there they'll either do miscellaneous ones or they'll just like take bits and pieces from them, throw them together, make a new one, which I'd kind of like to see that more because I mean Dark Knight Returns, I'm kind of fine with that being a straight adaptation, but other ones I do kind of like them seeing twisting and turning because I don't really know where it's going to go completely, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree with you there too, but I still think there's tons of stuff you could like pull from in the back, but like, you know, that it's fine with me, like whatever they do. I kind of like how this new Batman versus Robin one, how it's kind of like a combo. It's Court of Owls, but it's also like Batman and Robin.
Grant Morrison, Batman and Robin, yeah.
Well, yeah, that, but then even just like the Batman and Robin New 52. Like that series, it kind of reminds me of like that too. And then, you probably didn't see it, but there's a deleted scene or whatever that's supposed to be like a short. It was Nightwing and Robin. It was on the DVD.
Really?
Yeah.
I gotta check that out.
It's kind of like, it's a short like the ones like the Green Arrow ones and like the, who else? Those other ones they used to have them for a while.
Spectre,
Jonah Hex. It's kind of like that. It's definitely shorter than those ones. It's like 45 seconds long or something like that. But
okay,
it's still kind of cool. It's kind of like those ones they had. It's like those ones. It's like 45 seconds. Like, why don't you guys just throw that into the fucking movie then? It's not like that was gonna make the movie any longer, really.
No, I get you. I'm gonna look that up then. It's probably just something just to, so you know it's, oh yeah, this is all in the same world, as opposed to, because for a while each one was like a separate universe, and then I think after a while let's just make it all the same universe. What's the point, you know?
Yeah, well, I think it's what it goes in
I think
like.
it's done that ever since Flashpoint. I think ever since Flashpoint, I think they've been taking place in the same world. Because at the end of Flashpoint, that's when they have the they have a little like stinger at the end with uh Doomsday coming in. Not Doomsday, like all like his little minions flying in towards Earth.
Oh yeah. Well, that Nightwing and Robin scene is supposed to be cut like when Green Lantern goes to get Batman and he's chasing down Scarecrow.
Hmm.
That's where that scene goes in.
Oh, okay, okay.
But
We'll have to look that up because I just kind of checked the next time thing, like the sneak peek, and then the movie itself. Beyond that, though,
yeah.
those weird ass kid ads they have at the beginning of this like movie with a lot of violence.
Sometimes it's just one of those ones like it's just like comic books themselves. I just don't. Sometimes I look at the ads and I go, "Who the hell are you selling this to?" Like,
Hmm.
you flip through a Marvel or a DC comic to this day and age, and they still have fucking like, bubblegum ads and fucking not even teen rated games, like E-rated games and so on. And you're just kind of like, what? And it's like back to the
There's
dark, grim fantasy story.
well, this I'll say this. I mean, this was a pretty good movie, but I don't really know a whole lot about Aquaman. I got like one or two Aquaman New 52 books,
Hmm.
but and what I knew was some of the stuff I knew was in there, and I had the book. I think that it's actually called Battle of Atlantis or Throne of Atlantis, which is when he was already a member of the Justice League by that point, but they took a little bit from the Justice League New 52 when Aquaman and not Aquaman, but Or goes and attacks Metropolis.
Orem.
Orem, yeah. Fuck Orem. Orem's a bitch.
He's just like the
Orem is
douche.
a
You know what he is? He's pretty much just he's like Loki of DC.
well, Loki has at least kind of a certain amount of charm and
Yeah,
kind
but I
of
mean,
like
like
humor
that's
to him.
pretty much it's the same type of character archetype.
Yeah, kind of like the, the little brother that felt pushed to the side and he wants what he feels he deserves. And then we got, the thing about Loki is Loki, just like I said, Loki's a little like, Loki is smart. He's a couple steps ahead of everybody. Orm just seems kind of like, duh, I want that. So give me to try stab, That kind of
Yeah.
that seems to be as far as he goes. He says, "Yeah, Black Manta, you go camouflage that thing and blow up the city." Yeah,
I like how
really.
Black Manta.
That's
like,
like he's actually black.
well, no, not that, but I knew. I like how like
That seems a little racist to me, but yeah.
he's just been like what was he doing one day? Just diving down, just going, oh, I'm just gonna go swim to the bottom of the. Oh, whoa, there's people down here, and then they just like accept him in, like. It's Atlantis. They're like, "Whoa, look at this guy. We've never seen a man this dark before. Bring him on in."
Wasn't he always part of like? Wasn't he always part? Wasn't he Atlantean?
No,
Well, I
he's
guess
like
he's
he's a
not.
human. That's the weird thing. It's like
He's in that suit. He's in that suit.
yeah,
So
he's in a suit the whole time. So like, but it's
I
just
always
weird.
thought he
It's
was
weird
a
he just lives
Atlantean.
down there because like, what's he have to do? This at some point he's got to go fucking back up to the surface and get stuff.
I always maybe I missed it in this movie, but I always assumed Black Manta was actually a Atlantean, and or maybe not Atlantean, or just some little like he lived in the ocean or whatever. He could breathe underwater, whatever, and he formed a coup and started his own little separate state. Always assumed it was something like that. Is he actually from
No, he's from Earth.
surface?
He's literally just a guy who, like, in the olden days, he was just like some man who would go terrorize the sea, like with all his money. Which I don't know how he got all the money. I'm not too sure there, but
Mhm.
because he's pretty much just like an evil Batman that like goes to terrorize the underwater realm.
And then later he had his own he built up his own little society underwater.
Yeah, to fight the Atlanteans and so on. But it just like in that movie, I just remember he's just down there. I'm like, boy, like what? This guy just swims down. Yeah, just starts hanging out down there like fuck Earth. Like look what I found down here. I'm hanging out with Atlanteans and stuff. Why the fuck would I want to go back there? Back there, I was living a shitty life, but down here, I'm something special.
I just put on all I really did one day is I just put on the special high-end deep sea scuba diving gear. I put on my playlist of Jimmy Buffett and the Little Mermaid soundtrack, just went down, and boom, there I fucking am.
People have been looking for Atlantis for years. I just happened to just swim down and find it, and lo and behold, they accept me in and everything, and we're all cool.
So they think, but yeah.
But fuck that Aquaman guy. Fuck him.
Well, I'll say that the whole thing with because I always maybe there's a bigger villain or something. I always assume Black Manta was his main villain.
I think that
he goes out pretty quickly and like a bitch in this movie though.
Yeah, just like all
A
Aquaman has to do
shark
is
out of
call the
nowhere?
shark.
Yeah. I was like, really? That's it? I mean, maybe Orum's his main villain, but I always assumed Black Manta was. So.
I'm actually going to call a foul on that shark getting him there. Because here's the thing. This sounds like a weird thing, but
Isn't that all that armor for one?
well, he's okay. Since he's in all black armor, the natives of like Australia, when they would go out and when they'd go fishing in the ocean where there's tons of sharks, what they would do is they would just take black socks or black cloth and put it over their hands and over their feet, the areas that weren't dark enough, and then the sharks wouldn't attack them because they were just pure dark. So if Black Manta's pure dark, I know that Aquaman's calling him there, but the shark might not be able to see him.
We're going to take a quick break right here, but now a word from our buddies at Painted Black Podcast. Take a listen.
I'm Pete, that's Brian.
Yeah.
There's Lou. We are Painted Black Podcast. We are Painted Black Comics.
If you could describe the show, what would you describe it?
Horribly offensive.
Balls to the walls.
A good time.
I don't know. Unprofessional. I wouldn't be surprised if fucking Barney heard some screaming from next door. Right?
Hey, yo, Fred, I got kicked out of the house. Can I stay with you guys for a little bit? No, Barney. We're not friends like that.
You better go stay with the zoo.
Yeah. Dum-dum, you should have said yes to your wife. Can you imagine what Disney World would have been like had he lived longer?
No Jews. That's the primary difference.
Yeah. I feel like he funded the Nazis in some way. I can't prove it.
The first fucking model of their helmet had ears on it.
Oh, the Basketeers coming over the hill. What the fuck's going on?
Dosan sounds like a Renaissance painter.
He was the fifth Ninja Turtle. He wasn't right in the head. They didn't really bring him out too much. I'd like to fight the foot.
That's probably why they had those stupid ass toppings.
Bubble gum.
Fuck, who let those sounds order the pizza?
I want a
again?
stink bug!
Who put Legos on this shit? Can I give you money for sex?
I would enjoy making a transaction for a blowjob.
Can I get a receipt with that pussy?
Oh, yeah. How do I follow this?
Do you wash those briefs with starch?
Make that booty clap. Why don't you?
Let's hear Randy Newman doing the song for Pompeii.
Oh, he's on the spot.
Whoa, did smoke. Volcano. Whoa, it's the smoke. Vesuvius.
That wasn't that fun. All right. But no, I think, well, I mean, I mean, it was a good flick, but there's some small little things like that. Like Orm, I never really cared for Orm. I don't know a whole lot about him, but what I knew of him, he always just seemed kind of like an entitled bitch. And then Black Manta, I mean, I always thought he was cool, but he goes out pretty quickly and pretty, unceremoniously in the movie. But, I mean, it was still, I mean, I understand they're trying to, get a lot in there and like, hour, 10 minutes.
Because that one was sort of short. It was like 73 minutes or so. I mean, I guess that's what they all are about, but some of them are like in the 80s. So, but yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it still. I still think it's one that definitely, really good one, definitely worth checking out if you're into anything DC or even Marvel or comics in general. These movies, I look more forward to these DCU movies. I've been saying this for like the last 3 years, but I look more forward to these movies than any live action movie, pretty much. That's
yeah,
how
I'm
much,
right there with you because the usual.
Those are the ones they're just so badass, and they're pretty much guaranteed. I mean, I had never seen one that I didn't like.
They're usually the reason why is because they're more made for the fans of the comics as opposed. I mean, there's some stuff they still got to kind of like shorten and abridge for you for the sake of people who've never cracked a comic book open before, but they still feel like they're primarily made for people who read the comics and all that. So I think that's one of the reasons why we like them a lot. Because I always do look forward more to these than I do most of the live action movies.
I think the thing about these movies, as I said, I've never seen a bad one. I mean, they come from being like anywhere from good to being extremely amazing. But it's just they're always good. So I know for a fact I can just shell out $20 and they're going to be awesome. Which I know like the Marvel movies kind of can be very hit or miss. They can go up and down from like their quality levels, which is kind of weird. You think Marvel would have even more money to like blow on these, but
Marvel, I think they're almost I mean, because I know we kind of go to Marvel DC comparisons a lot, but I think right now Marvel is kind of making so much money with like just their cinematic universe, and then now they're having like a TV universe that runs parallel with it. Mm-hmm. I think that they're right now just kind of trying to focus on that. All right, well, DC, we could sell cartoons to kids. We already kind of got everybody through like all the live action stuff. So I think straight to DVD animated movies, those are kind of like, I think like, well, what's the point? We're already making so much more money on like theatrical stuff, because DC, they're still trying to figure out when and how. They're still in the planning stage. I mean, some stuff's actually being filmed and done right now, but a lot of other stuff they're still trying to figure out their theatrical universe.
Yeah, exactly. But I actually picked up something really cool the other day. I just stumbled upon these, but I found the first 2 issues, and I think the third one might have just came out, but they didn't have the store I was at. But the Django Unchained and Zorro comics, written by Quentin Tarantino.
When I knew they were out, but I didn't know they were actually written by Quentin Tarantino. I just assumed he like had the he just lent the rights to it. Which, knowing that, I'm gonna have to try and pick those up at some point. But I hope you said this. I hope they don't do the thing where he writes the first 2 or 3 issues and they just switch it off to somebody else.
Well, because they do also have the guy that writes like the regular Dynamite Zorro comics. He's also part there too. He's like the secondary writer. So they probably come up with it together. But the first issues are kind of like, you know, Django's just out like fucking like walking the desert. And all of a sudden, like, you know, he gets picked up by, you know, a fancy man from Mexico and stuff. And then they just kind of meet each other. And then at the very end, he figures out, like, oh, this is Zorro. This is who this guy is. I was just wondering who this rich guy was. He just kind of paraded his way through town and whatnot. But the second one, like, the writing in it, and like, just this, like, it's this kind of story that it describes, they pretty much are going after this Archduke of Arizona. And they explain that in the very big first issue. The second one, like the 3/4 of the issue, doesn't even have Django or Zorro in it, but it's explained this whole story of how this Archduke guy got to get this land in Arizona, and he goes through this like 10-year like mission. But it's really well written. It's a really kind of very interesting story. So the only about comics when you get them in single issues, it's kind of like, well, that's about it right there, because they just go by so fast when it's just 2 of them. But it's really fucking good. I kid you not. Go out and pick those up. And the nice thing about those Dynamite comics is they only have like an ad in the center and then ads at the end. They're not like kind of DC and Marvel where you just kind of go, oh, here's another ad. It's kind of distracting.
Mm-hmm. Well, I actually heard, I mean, there's no like solid, they didn't say who's writing or directing it, but if this comic does good, they just might do Django and Zorro movie. So
to me, it's like cool. One of the perfect combos, because I love Django Unchained, and then Zorro, from being a tiny kid, that's been one of my favorite characters. I mean, I dressed up as Zorro in 3rd grade for Halloween. I always like to pull these characters that like out of time that like no other kid was ever dressing up as, because, you know, most kids kind of go to like whatever they know from TV. But, you know, I dressed up like Sherlock Holmes one year. I dressed up like Zorro and so on. Me and Kyle fucking did the Blues Brothers once, and like when we did it, it was at that time period where Men in Black just came out, so everybody thought we were the Men in Black.
Oh, you're Men in Black. But they didn't have fedoras.
They didn't have fedoras and sunglasses. Well, I guess they had sunglasses, but not the 80s style sunglasses.
And there's no black dudes in town, so like, well, I guess the skinny one could be Tommy Lee Jones. Or,
yeah, they just looked at us and go, let's see. Well,
look at you and Kyle.
Like, oh, you must be Will Smith, I guess. Not too sure, actually. Well, but no, that Zorro and Django comic, really fucking cool. And even at the very end, Quentin Tarantino, he has like a soundtrack. You know how Tom Morello's comic kind of had that too, where he had like he had music. Really? Now he doesn't have it where like he's like Quentin Tarantino's like, here, I just wrote these songs and you can come download them for free.
But it gives you
like about a 6-song playlist of different songs that you can just go
to listen on. It's
on their thing. They say, oh, go to our Twitter page or whatnot, and we can take you to a Spotify thing that will play the songs, or you can go and download them and so on. So that's kind of cool too.
That's pretty awesome.
I mean, there's like a Joan Jett song in there. There was that Mama Was a Rolling Stone song. The Django theme from the 1966 one that was in the Django Unchained movie. The Zorro theme from the Disney cartoon, or not cartoon show, but Disney live action show, the black and white one. The olden timey. That's the one I used to watch all the time as a kid. But no, really fucking awesome. As I said, that first issue is more just like, hey, my name's Django. Oh yeah, well I'm this guy who happens to be Zorro. Oh, okay, cool. Like just kind of getting to know each other, just one of those ones. But that second issue, once you get into that issue, then it's just such good writing in this just story. I don't even want to explain it. It's just that cool. the guy's 10-year crusade and all the stuff he goes through just to get this huge amount of land in Arizona to be the Archduke and call himself the Archduke of Arizona or wherever they're at there.
Did they say what happened to Hildy? She just not there.
I wondered that the whole time because it takes place after Django
I
Unchained.
I hope it's not one of those things like, yep, she got murdered like 2 days after. Because I always hate that, like in movies, like in the sequel, like, okay, so like the best friend or the girlfriend, oh cool, they get away, so they must live happy. No, they died like a week later, or they die within the first 10 minutes of this movie.
She tripped over a rock, sprained her ankle, and a scorpion came by and stabbed her, and then, well, I just had to bury her from that point on.
That was as soon as the credits came up, that's what happened.
Just like such a horrible death. So she trips. She's like, no! There's a scorpion just coming after her. Claws. And then just stabs right into her shoulder.
Or like, you know, because they were both on separate horses at the end of the movie. So maybe the scorpion goes.
So the horse trips
like,
first. And then he rolls.
The horse gets stabbed by the scorpion. The horse then loses shit, runs around, like hits her head like on a branch hanging low, then goes galloping right into the fire in the house. They just blew up.
Yeah, blows up again for some reason. Like, I didn't think there was a way that house could have blown up one more time, but it did. No, they don't explain that, and I've been kind of wondering that the whole time. I'm like,
I hope that, you know, it's like, oh, where's Hildy? Oh, she's back at our ranch back home in, you know, Austin or something.
Because, at this point, Django's just like, yo, my horse fucking died out here, you know, in the desert. Can I get a lift, man? And then it's just one of those ones where it's just like, okay, there he is. Like, horse. By horse, does he mean wife?
Is it R-rated or PG-13?
It's like PG-13. Which is, for comic books, that's kind of fine because, you know, it's in the West. It's not like there's like tons of swearing as much. And then, like, violence in comic books, like, teen-rated comic books, like, the violence can be almost like the equivalent of, like, an R-rated movie. You know, because I don't know what it is. Whenever it's an animation, you can get away with a little bit more violence. Or in drawings.
And thinking back on Django, with the exception of like the final battle and then like the part where they pull Hildy out of the hot box, I want to say that movie is like language aside, the violence is pretty tolerable and not that bad. It's like the very end of the movie where it gets like super violent. The rest of the violence is pretty, you know, not that like gory or over the top.
I mean, like, I'll say this, all the violence in it, like, definitely is R-rated.
It's mostly the language.
But, yeah.
I think it's more language, because, I mean, take the first couple of deaths throughout that movie. I mean, there's blood splatter, but it's not like the very end of the movie with the whole wall is painted in blood, you know?
But, as I said, for a comic book, it's rated teen, but I think that works totally fine for it. Like, you don't feel like you're missing anything or it's totally toned down.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to check that one out. Something else we actually both saw a little bit.
Yeah.
We both saw Jupiter Ascending,
and I thought that was actually pretty cool. You know, once again, this is always the sad thing when you get to a Wachowski brother and sister movie, is that you always walk out of the theater and go, well, that wasn't The Matrix, but still a good movie.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I feel. I mean, they're doing fine, I'm sure. I feel a little bad for Andy and Lana Wachowski, because it seems to be kind of like, I imagine this is how a lot of conversations go with them. Hey, we got a new movie coming out. Oh, who are you guys? Oh, we made The Matrix.
Oh, Matrix 4.
No, like, what's the movie called? Matrix Revolutions. Fuck you! You know, I almost think that's like the way the conversations seem to go. Is it Matrix? No, it's Matrix 2 or 3. Fuck you! You know, I almost feel like there is like people are kind of mad at them because they just can't you can't capture lightning in a bottle like that. Like like Matrix 1, you can't get that like twice. No. And when you get to 2 and 3,
Spielberg. That's like about the only people that I know that can get that like multiple occasions.
Because I'm one of the only people that actually likes, you and me are two of the only people that like Matrix 2 and 3.
I'm the person, I like number 2 more than I like number 1, which that a lot of times blows people's minds.
Well, I'll say number, because the thing about it is, you know, they already did this very like crazy story that really, you know, that really pushed film both like narratively as well as visually. Just, you know, ways movies were shot and visually. I think that by the time you get to like, because you know, you just can't tell just like, oh, the same story. I think they said they're trying to break convention, try something different. And some of the complaints I understand. To me, it's totally fine though, just because it was just more action. It was more like cool visual stuff going on. And it was just expanding on this already really original story.
Yeah.
So it was just trying. They said they're trying to like, you know, give it a standard setup, the standard, you know, like a hero's journey setup, and then from there it goes a different direction. And I think that right there, I'm totally fine with that. And the number 3 was just something different altogether. I'll be honest, number 3, even though I love number 3, still a little flawed because it has like the first 30 minutes of that movie is almost just straight exposition. But once you get past that, though, you got, I mean, even there's some interesting stuff and some cool stuff that happens within that first 30, 40 minutes, whatever. But I mean, once you get past that, I think the rest of the movie definitely outweighs whatever. And like, because that movie, it was just trying to like, you know, cross all the T's and dot all the I's, and it got that done. And then we just once that got done, got this huge, awesome battle at the end.
Yeah, it's like an hour-long battle, too. It's great.
People don't like that. I'm totally, because you don't see many movies do that. And it's like, if someone hates that movie or dislikes the movie, I mean, I'm not going to say you're wrong, but for me personally, I think people like judge it just a little too harshly just because it's not the same thing. And it's like, no way it can be the same thing, because how long it took them to try to get that, a couple carpenters that wrote scripts and tried to make independent comics got that thing done is astounding. And
yeah,
you know?
Well, that's all I have to say. And because we said before in the podcast, I just don't understand how, if you like The Matrix 1 so much, how you don't like 2 and 3, because they're the exact fucking same thing. They're just expanding on what is already amazing. And I think all 3 of them are amazing, and that's the bottom line.
That's how, I mean, I feel too. But it's one of those things. I just think some people weren't really. I think I think some people don't realize it's kind of hard to kind of repeat that same feeling, because you went to see Matrix for the first time, you didn't know really what you were watching. You know, there's some weird camera angles and some sci-fi stuff going on, but you weren't sure what. Then when you actually, how do you like, you know, top that? So I think a lot of people were disappointed with the way they did it, but I still love all 3 of those movies. And I even like, I know you disagree. I liked Cloud Atlas. I thought Cloud Atlas was good. And I even liked, even though I know this movie's a little flawed, a little wacky, I still really enjoyed Speed Racer.
Well, it's like, for me, it's like, I'll quickly sum those. Speed Racer, I liked everything about Speed Racer, but the racing part. Because the racing part, it was just like, because Speed Racer is a serious kind of racing thing. I mean, as far as a cartoon goes. But in general, it's made to be pretty accurate. So then when they made it kind of like F-Zero, like, don't get me wrong, I love me some F-Zero, but I'd rather see the F-Zero movie and not the Speed Racer movie, you know, in the same universe. But other than that, though, I think it's still a decent movie. Cloud Atlas, I didn't think it was amazing, but I still enjoyed it. I just, you know, it wasn't Matrix 4, but still. But I will say that Jupiter Ascending, that one was a pretty darn good movie. You know, I mean, I'm not going to say it was like Matrix Amazing once again, but I really liked it. And I would love to see a second one of these movies and see this universe that they sort of created and see more of it. Because there was a lot of cool stuff going on here. Just, you know, these characters, and this, I kind of liked how everything was like people, but they've kind of like gene spliced themselves over time, so that some of these people might have more animal features in them, and some of these people might look way different. But they're all these just different variations of like human beings.
Yeah, the thing about the movie that I really liked was, I mean, I think that because a lot of this movie is getting like beaten the fuck up right now, like by critics and a lot of just people who went to go see it. And I mean, I thought it like you, I thought it was really good. But I think the third act, I mean, it is a flawed movie, because I think the third act, the problem with the movie is once you get to, I'd say around the third act, it feels a little bloated because they try and jam like so much stuff in there. Because I feel like this was originally meant to be like a big 3-hour movie or possibly 2 movies. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, I don't know if they filmed it and then the producers came in and made them chop stuff up, because this movie was originally supposed to come out in the summer. Then it was supposed to come out in January. Then they pushed it back to February. So I would assume there was some editing going on, or there's maybe another cut of this movie, because once you get to the third act, what ends up happening is, I mean, we'll go over the basic idea of it in a second, but I feel like once, actually, first let's talk about the movie, and then we'll get to the third act.
I will say this though, it did feel like those movies. It should have been 3 hours. That I thought when I looked at it and saw, I was like 2 hours and 5 minutes. What the fuck? Like what kind of sci-fi movie can be told like in that short of time? I mean, I guess you can have some Star Wars. But I just kind of looked and I was like, but Star Wars has multiple ones, you know.
Yeah.
I just kind of looked and I was like, Wachowski, bro. I'm like, this should at least be a 2.5, if not 3 hour long movie. So that makes sense. I do kind of agree. It felt like they had to kind of like edit it up or something. So hopefully when there's a Blu-ray copy of it, maybe there'll be an extended cut and that might just smooth everything out.
Yeah, because basically I guess the overall theme of the movie, the overall idea is there is there's a whole other society of like other planets and galaxies that are all one. Earth is just they oversee Earth, and Earth is just kind of just very small. Basically, it's a mining resource. That's what a lot of planets are. To like these, it kind of reminded me of Dragon Ball Z, because like Frieza was like planetary real estate. Basically,
Exactly.
They'd wipe a planet off and then sell it off to like different regimes and empires. It was kind of like that, only they'd mine it for its resources. And there's apparently in this movie they show three of these big like empires that mine planets, or they have some kind of mining process going on. And I guess Mila Kunis is like the reincarnated queen of one of these empires, and so Earth technically belongs to her, but she doesn't know that. She's just a Russian girl, Russian American.
Which I think that's really cool because they've never had
Cinderella.
No, because Mila Kunis has never been in a movie, at least that I've seen, where they say that she's Russian in it, because that's where she actually came from, is Russia. Yeah. So I think that's always cool.
Yeah,
I always like when they bring that finally around to an actor and actress.
Not to give credit to a movie that ain't that good, but I think Max Payne.
Was she Russian in that one?
I want to say they were at she was like worked with the Russian mob or something like that.
Maybe. Huh. I can't remember. It's been a while.
Not to take away from Jupiter Ascending, but
I have to say,
I don't want to take away.
This is something that it always sort of bothers me in sci-fi movies, but it's in this one too. But why, whenever we have this very sophisticated, futuristic space race, why does it always feel like it takes place in 1400 Middle Ages, and it's just like, my lady, I'm here to take over the planet? Why do they always go back to the fucking monarchy style? You feel like if they're more sophisticated than us, why are they in a monarchy once again?
I think it's easy to hate those guys. I don't know. And I will say, I kind of agree with you there. I mean, I thought visually it was really cool looking. The one bad guy, no, I mean the movie.
But
I'm not docking the movie for this. I hated the bad guy, but we're meant to hate that guy. And he was just like, he basically kind of like goes from whispering, like he's super turned on, like, I'm going to blow up this whole planet, then I'm going to kill the whole. He almost takes him like a whole fucking 2 minutes to say one sentence, and then he says I'm going to destroy this. Oh yeah, some humans got through our defense. No, he freaks out all of a sudden. But they got it's very quick.
They got this monarchy thing. I mean, you watch Dune, and it's in that movie. You watch Chronicles of Riddick, it's in that one. And I think back in the olden days when people because you had these nerdy people that both what was the two things they liked? I like sci-fi and I like fantasy. Well, if I combine them together, then I get space monarchy, pretty much. And maybe that's what people liked about it. Did your mic cut out?
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
You know that main bad guy?
Space Monarchy?
Yeah, Space Monarchy. But going back to that main bad guy in Jupiter Ascending, he sort of reminded me of the guy off of the bad guy off of Grandma's Boy. The robot guy,
kind of that
guy. He looked like him. It just felt like if the robot guy from fucking, what was his name? Philip's his middle name. Fuck, what's his name? Whatever. If Philip, we'll just call him Philip, was in space and somehow, some way was destined to rule the world, that's who he would fucking be. He would be that guy up there.
I wish now that he almost was just the bad guy from Christmas Boy, just walking around, walking down the hallway. On your face. I almost wish he was just in place of that guy throughout that movie, and people are still really scared of him and freaked out because they know he can destroy the planet anytime, but yet he has the mind of a child.
Yeah, just walking down. Another thing I thought was really cool, and I like all the little teeny explanations they did throughout it, of how the dinosaurs ended. Because, this they sent the meteorite down so they could use it as a place to put humans. I'm like, that's badass. I liked how, when the spaceship took off, it made the crop circles and stuff like that. And then even like how they explain the alien sightings, like they kind of like, we do this flash thing that pretty much like Men in Black style that erase everybody's minds, but a couple people seem to get by on it. But here's the thing, nobody believes those couple people that did see it. So all those little teeny things in there, I thought were fucking awesome. I really liked that.
It was very Matrixy in the sense of kind of like these people in power are trying to keep the little guys down. So it was very like, which in like, there's this whole hidden truth that's just an ongoing theme in like all Wachowski movies. Even in Speed Racer, that's a theme to an extent, like big business trying to keep down little business and all these secret propaganda, all the secret under the table deals that they do have in sports. So that's always like a, what you don't know, and like the, the power, the higher up is more corrupt. That's always a theme going on in all their movies. And I think it goes on pretty well in this movie. And basically, so Mila Kunis is supposed to like be reincarnated and control the world if she wants, do whatever she wants with it. And then I guess Channing Tatum, who plays like a space wolf boy, and he comes down and he's basically trying to be her bodyguard, trying to protect her.
And he's got
keep
badass fucking like inline fucking space skates. Yeah.
Oh, they would have had, if this came out like in the 90s, they would have had some kind of like toy to like, like, well, you can't like, some kind of like not mock, but like
fucking Shadow the Hedgehog
kind of
like shoes going down.
Something kind of like some kind of inline skates made to look like that, and they show a kid flying a commercial, and then you see like maybe later on the 6 o'clock news, some kid try to jump off a roof with these shoes and just plummeted to his death. It's kind of like when they came out with the Spider-Man web shooters. There's so many kids that jumped off buildings trying to swing on those.
And when they made the fucking Sonic the Hedgehog grinding skates, how many accidents there was from that? Because kids be like, yeah, and they try to like grind down the fucking thing and just end up biffing it. Good old days. Good old 90s. We don't get that anymore. The kids don't get like, dangerous like, shoes and accessories anymore.
Like just like, well, Sonic doesn't wear a helmet, So.
These boots are almost kind of like Shadows though. They're just like even more advanced.
Yeah.
But these hover boots are badass because like, you could skate through the air, you could just kind of hover if you wanted to, you could run faster.
The action in the movie, like all the actions, like here's the thing about the movie. I mean, because I really liked it. I know it's kind of one of those things. I even though I know the movie is flawed, there's still like I think there's enough good things about it that stand out from other movies. I know a lot of people like aren't going to agree with me because a lot of people just don't like the Wachowski siblings, but I think that like this movie, like visually, it's really amazing. I think the story, I mean, the writing isn't amazing, but the overall story, I mean, it's good enough. The overall story, though, I think that's pretty cool. How the idea of they just kind of harvest planets and they just like humans, that's basically Earth itself is basically just a mining resource that eventually they're just going to wipe out and use for whatever. The biggest problem with the movie, and this is why I think I'm being a little bit easier on it, because if you listen to the Wachowski brother and sister enough and look at their movies, they probably wanted this to be way bigger. It's just the last really big movie they made. It was like 3 hours. Didn't do so good in theaters and got panned by critics. But more people liked that movie as time went on, though. Cloud Atlas.
Yeah.
I think that what happened once they hit the third act, they just meshed all the major plot points together, and it just kind of, we got roughly like 30 or 45 minutes of just exposition and then a final battle. And I feel like, because what ends up happening at some point, because there's just 3 main powers. There's the big, he's actually very slender, but he's, I guess, the biggest empire of them all. It's 2 brothers and a sister. The main guy, he's the most powerful one. He's the guy that talks very like, yes, I am space evil and space British.
And I am a robot.
I wish he did that.
I wish he did. I was just watching. I started busting up laughing because I'm like, dude, he just looks like the fucking robot guy, just older. And like literally, this robot guy, this would be like his dream is to fucking be this guy.
I didn't even think about that. I'm glad you brought that up, though. I'm not going to imagine that when I watch the movie. Just him just doing that weird robot run he does down the hallway. This monarchy and all these lizard people are all really scared of him. Like, don't fuck with that guy.
He's a robot. He told me so.
Well, you're a giant, like, lizard with wings. I know, but robots are my one weakness. No,
I'm scared of the robots. Lizard's main fear is robots.
There's like a, what was it? There's this part where, so ends up, at one point in the movie, she gets captured by the girl who runs all of the who runs one of the empires. She gives her some exposition. It all makes sense. Channing Tatum rides around with his shirt off for about 40 minutes. Whatever, whatever sells for the ladies.
Yeah, he
and
can
then
pull it off at some point.
And then, but I'm surprised. It was just, okay, he's changing real quick. But then for like a 40-minute period of the movie,
he never put
just
it back on.
Yeah. It's whatever is going to help sell that movie. And then as soon as they kind of get back, I want to say there's like a cool action scene and then as soon as, like, shortly after they get back, there's another the other brother, not the main villain, but another secondary villain comes in. He says like, "Oh, come with me. We're not so bad." And he gives a bunch of exposition that takes a while. And then what ends up happening, I should say first off, when Channing Tatum goes and gets Mila Kunis from the evil Empire lady, it's just like, okay, yeah, sure, you go ahead and take her. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Just, okay, we're going now. Bye. Boom. Space skate away. And then once they get over to the second one, all this exposition, they harvest human souls, whatever. And then they come in, big, giant, like, quick little, like, Tetris battle. I imagine that's what the Tetris movie will look like. These spaceships that are stacking over each other. They got to fly through, him and Sean Bean. They get there. And then, hey, don't do that. Don't kidnap her again. Okay, bye. Boom. As soon as they leave, that's when the third bad guy just kind of comes in, and he's just like, "Yes, I am capturing her because I captured her family." And then that leads into the final battle. And so it's kind of like, I feel like all three of those people there's like one or two quick scenes stacked between these parts. I think they almost would have worked better as each individual acts, rather than being kind of like all jammed in there at the third act, because I think that made it seem there's just literally like probably a good like 40 minutes of just these people all just talking to each other and talking about space politics. And some of it was interesting and there was some cool visual stuff going on, but like these villains, I don't really give a fuck about them. I mean, I know we're not meant to like them, but it's just hard to kind of want to spend that much time with them when you don't care about them that much. But I mean, regardless, the good guys are cool enough, and there's enough cool space battles going on throughout the movie, as well as action and him doing his like little space skating thing, for it to actually kind of pan out. I think being better.
Well, they're all like aristocratic-y, like monarchy, like, yes, back in the 1400s, the time period we never left. Like they all have like that kind of like the whole time. So like as I said, like that's one thing that, like that's always something that bothers me in like sci-fi movies. It's just like you got this advanced race, but why is it like it always goes back to the 1400s? Like that's like, what is that, just like fucking the golden age that everybody wishes they lived in?
Like are they just like what would it be like the modern version? They're just like dancing a dubstep the whole time, listening, like doing like space cocaine the whole time. That's how it'd be like the modern equivalent.
Yeah, it just was ones like you just see it in so many. I mean, it probably worked fine for like the first couple movies that like did it, or books and stories and what have you. But as I said, once you just start seeing it, I don't know what it is. It almost seems kind of like this movie. I mean, I still like this movie a lot, but just the space monarchy always just comes across as somewhat kind of corny. I don't know why.
No, I agree.
As I said, I think when it was first done, it was kind of a cool thing. It's just like, hey, I like fucking Knights of the Round Table, and I fucking like space. I'm going to slap that together, and that's what fucking Dune is. You know what I mean? Fucking put a tremor in there in space, too. That's fucking awesome,
Mm-hmm.
4 tremors. So, like, okay, for something like that kind of makes sense. That's the one I don't know. There's probably something that came before that, but when I think that, I think of Dune. Because that reminds me like how the first time I ever saw that. And then from there on out, you see it like in all kinds of other things. One thing I thought was kind of, we didn't really mention this, but like Mila Kunis, pretty much, she was kind of like, born, on the ocean after her dad got killed by God. They didn't really explain like why he got killed. Just some like Russian guys busted in and just said, "Where's the money?" And then like they're like, "Well, fuck it, we'll take this telescope. You know what? I always wanted one of these." And then they start running out. He's like, "No, not the telescope!" And he's like, "Fuck you!" Bam! Shoots him in the head and keeps going. So then like Mila Kunis' wife or mother just kind of goes, "Well, this isn't a place I want to raise a kid at. Let's go to America. It'll be safer there." And so, on the way over to America, Mila Kunis gets born, blah, 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 blah. Well, then they end up being like the Russian people that clean people's toilets at fancy pants houses in New York City. And that's kind of like what they do. That's just every day is just a shitty day. Wake up, clean some fancy pants' toilet, go to bed, do it again. The one thing that bothered me in the movie is this is another thing that always bothers me like lots of times. It happens in superhero movies, I think, a lot too. At the very fucking end of the movie, after she does all this cool space stuff and this huge war goes on, all this stuff, she's back to fucking cleaning fancy pants people's houses, toilets in New York City. She's fucking got a Wolfman out there with space skates, and she's cleaning fucking toilets again at fancy pants people's houses. Why? Why? It's like Spider-Man fucking delivering pizzas in Spider-Man 2. Why would Spider-Man be delivering pizzas? He's like the smartest fucking kid in class, for one. And two, he's got fucking powers. Put him to good use. Make that part of your job. I'm not saying he's gotta like be a criminal, you know, but...
Like, he just like knocks the fuck out of like, you know, Dr. Octopus. Like, thank you, Spider-Man. And he just goes up to the register, puts his hands out. They just look at him, just like shakes his hand, like, come on. You know the toll. He gives him like a couple $100. He's like, I know you got more, you know. That's
like there's a Superman villain.
A bug's gotta eat.
He's kind of like a comical Superman villain, but there's like, I can't remember what his name is, but there's that guy in Superman. He's pretty much has these powers kind of like Superman, but he charges a fee every single time he does it. So that's why he's like I can't remember what his name is. It's like, so he's like a partial villain because of that. Mm-hmm. But that's different. I'm not talking about like charging a fee. I mean, just, you know, fucking, I don't know.
I did a better job with those powers.
Well, yeah, like fucking, you know, he's Spider-Man. He could like do construction or something like that, fucking putting shit together, you know? Like, he could be like the human crane. Like, I'm just saying, why is he delivering pizzas? Like, out of everything, that's like the lowest end job. Like, fucking not even Flash, not Flash like Flash, but Flash, Spider-Man Flash. Not even he's fucking delivering pizzas, and he's not even the brightest guy out there. Well, like that's it. Why is Mila Kunis fucking like cleaning toilets? Like by that point, she'd be like, "Mom, you this is it. You know, we're gonna go live in space now. I fucking own Earth. I got fucking Wolfman here. Like Wolfman Channing Tatum. He's got space skates. Believe me, the space skates are the coolest thing you've ever seen. Let's get the fuck out of here."
I ain't defending it. I'm not defending. I mean, I understand what they're trying to do. I think what I think they're trying to do is they're trying to have that whole thing where it's like, okay, because when she goes against the final bad guy, something we forgot to mention, she's the reincarnated, like, she's not their mother, but back in a previous life, she was their mother, and now she's reincarnated into somebody else. So basically, they're all trying to get her to sign Earth over to them. Now, at some point, they actually say a line, because every morning when she wakes up, she says, "I hate my life," and they have this whole comical montage of that. And then later, near the end of the movie, she's talking to the evil space douche. He says, like, "You said how you always hated your life, and my mother never scrubbed a toilet." And she's like, "Maybe it's a good thing I did." And I think it's one of those things where, so I think it'd be a good thing if she actually did once in her life. And I think it's one of those things where they came around and they're trying to say, okay, well, I guess there's some nobility to being able to do the shit job, literally, that no one else wants to do. Gives you a better understanding and a better, like, idea of how the world works, rather than just being like in some monarchy where you're answering to, where you're controlling everything and you have no idea of the other perspective or how the other half lives. I think that's kind of what they're trying to say, but still, I think you could upgrade from cleaning toilets.
Yeah, it's just one of those ones. It's like,
because I guess it's one of those things. Like, now that she's cooler with her family now, and on top of that, she's with Channing Tatum now, and he's teaching her how to space skate. I think it's one of those things like, okay, now that she actually has she's getting some dick on the side or whatever, now it's all good, and that's all you kind of need at the end of the day. Maybe that's what it's saying. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's like, oh, she's actually somebody who doesn't need them. Life's just got to be a little bit better. That's it. That's all she's asking for. She's been to space and back, realizes that it's all space toilets from here, from Earth to there, so, you know, might as well just be where you know and clean toilets and... Yeah.
I think it's one of the things at the end of the day, as long as she's kind of like, you got someone, I think what it's trying to say is like knowing, I guess, I understand it to an extent, but I think it's kind of like knowing like the other side of it. And then like at the same time, just getting a little bit for yourself. And I think that little bit for herself is probably, I mean, not trying to be sappy here, but her and Channing Tatum at the end of the movie. So.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know there was actually gonna be kind of this love story going on. I think that totally.
Oh, I knew. I sure as fuck knew there's gonna be a love story going on. You got Channing Tatum and Mila Kunis in the same movie together, so I think they're trying to.
I think it's like, you know, sci-fi a lot of times doesn't always contain that nearly as heavy. Well, I guess let me say, I didn't know it's like, because, you know, it's almost, this movie's like sci-fi action love or romance. I mean,
yeah,
that's real. But like I thought there'd be like maybe Star Wars equivalent of like maybe some romance in it, but nothing like that's like a big portion of the movie is the romance section of it.
I think it's one of those things that doesn't really take away that much from the movie. Because
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's totally fine, but
it wasn't like crowbarred in there. I think it fit in fine for the most part. This movie, I think the biggest thing about it is they're trying to make it like an intergalactic fairy tale. I guess you can say that basically Mila Kunis, she's a fusion of a bunch of different like fairy tale princesses. There's obviously Cinderella in there. Like Anastasia, you know.
yeah.
So I think
without Bardock, the Canadian bat that follows Anastasia around. I can never, to this day, I'm like, why does he have that voice?
I have
It's
no
just
idea.
like, but Anastasia. I'm not even getting it right. Like,
I haven't seen that movie in so long, so I don't even. Yeah.
boy, I tell you, there, Anastasia, we got a lot of stuff going down here. It's going to be okie day now that we're battling Rasputin.
That had to be some Canadian. It was kind of a Canadian like comic that was probably big at the time, if I had to guess.
Bardock?
The voice actor.
Oh.
Yeah, just Bardock, the Canadian bat, one night only.
Everybody's like, who the fuck why is there this giant bat up there talking? And he's like, oh, how you folks doing tonight? My name's Bardock. That was an Anastasia.
He's trying to tell all these jokes, but people are like, how the fuck is that bat talking? Anyway, here's one I came up with the other day. You know, he's trying to just like get these jokes out there. He's working real hard on, but people are like, there's a fucking talking bat. What the fuck is going on? You know. All right, guys, I know I'm a talking bat. This goes on at every show. Just let me say this is my dream.
Just get over it, okay?
It's my dream. Just give me this, please. Just this one thing.
They're like, yeah, we gave it to you. We gave you a fucking like solo movie after Anastasia. Nobody fucking watched it.
Straight to video. No one gave a fuck.
Straight to video, and still nobody watched it. But I would say if I had to to wrap this podcast up, I guess I'll highly recommend Aquaman, and I really actually did like Jupiter Ascending quite a bit. I thought it was really good. I'm not going to say it's equivalent of like as good as The Matrix. But I thought it was a really cool movie. I thought the world, or I guess the universe they created in it was awesome, and I'd love to see more of it. And hopefully when we get it on Blu-ray, they will add in at least a half an hour more, and that might just even the movie out a little bit.
The tragedy of it is, I doubt we're gonna. I think you liked it a little more than me. I still really liked it, and I'd like to get it eventually, especially if they have like some like director's cut with at least 45 minutes to an hour. Because I know there's some reason they kept on pushing this movie back, as well as there's got to be some. I'm guessing this had to be a bigger script because Wachowskis usually do have some big broad story. Even Speed Racer, which is a kids film, is 2 hours and 10 minutes. So I'm assuming this one probably has some extended cut or at least an extended script. So I don't know if we're actually going to get a sequel. I hope we do. Because I would like to see more of this world, but maybe at least like a comic book that's a sequel or something like that.
Yeah, I know that asking for a movie sequel to this one's probably not going to work because people are... We just live in the picky age of this day and age, and I know that it's just so hard for people to like anything anymore. But still, I thought it was really cool, and hopefully, people, if they listen to this, they can go out and check it out and, at least, support it and enjoy it for what it is. I mean, I don't know what people... Don't go in there thinking you're going to see Matrix 4. I think that's the problem that a lot of people have when they see a Wachowski Brothers movie.
They mention a whole new Matrix trilogy, not like a reboot, but just like a new trilogy that's kind of continuing it somehow. Because Neo's basically Computer Jesus, and I guess Computer Jesus Returns, maybe? I don't know.
That'd be cool. I would love to see a Matrix 4, so that's all I have to say. Or another trilogy. Or Matrix prequel, or I don't know, fuck it. There's a lot of stuff you could do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's a good place to wrap it up at. Check out that stuff, and also check out Django and Zorro. That thing's fucking awesome. I'm gonna go try to see that. About the next day or two, I'm gonna go see if they have the fucking third issue there, and it was pretty badass. But till then, check out oldmanorange.com. Share us, rate us, review us on iTunes. You can go to Podomatic, Stitcher, all sorts of good things.
Follow me at Dunigan Ryan on Twitter, and you at
Spencer S. Holmes on Twitter. Send us some messages. You can send us a message at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. And until then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
We'll see you some other time.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. And if you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. It won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks again, and tune in next week for more Old Man Orange Podcast.